You ever stop and wonder what really separates the good from the truly great? What's that secret sauce that drives a top surgeon, a Formula One driver, or a world-class chef to perform at their absolute peak? Well, it turns out there's kind of this hidden architecture to high performance, and it's built on two really powerful foundational ideas. So let's dive in and see what makes it all tick.
We've all heard carpe diem, seize the day, but the engineers over at Porsche, in their just relentless chase for speed, they have a completely different motto, carpe secundum, seize the second. Now that mindset, this obsession with slicing time into its tiniest, most valuable bits, perfectly captures one of the huge ideas we're going to explore today.
Because you see, carpe secundum is really only half the story. When you pair that with an intense ambition to win, these two forces, this urgency and this drive for victory, they create a framework that shapes both these incredible successes and sometimes these devastating failures across completely different worlds. Let's see how they actually work. Okay, first, let's get into that constant ticking pressure of the clock. This isn't just about being a little more efficient. In some fields, the stakes are, well, they're as high as they possibly get. 7 to 10%. Let that number sink in for a second. This is the drop in survival probability for a cardiac arrest victim for every single minute that CPR is delayed. It's a terrifying, direct measure of what time is actually worth. Right, so in emergency medicine, every second counts isn't just some motivational poster they hang on the wall. It is a clinical life or death reality. Hesitation, that fear of making a mistake, that's the enemy. All the training is designed to just override that fear with the absolute knowledge that doing nothing is the biggest risk of all. And what's wild is that this same exact principle of urgency applies with equal intensity in places you'd never expect. For car engineers, it's all about that mechanical precision needed to get from 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, something they achieve through countless hours of work. And then you've got the culinary world, like the insane kitchen in the show The Bear. It's this knife's edge of strategy and survival where one wasted move can bring the whole service crashing down. So how do people even function under this kind of pressure without just breaking down? Well, they use a very specific mental toolkit. There's this thing called the Yerkes-Dodson law, which shows us that stress actually improves our performance, but only up to a certain point. To stay on the good side of that curve, elite performers use stuff like visualization, which can boost performance by around 30%, and breath control techniques, like box breathing, to kind of strip the emotion out of the equation and keep their focus razor sharp. All right, let's pivot to that second pillar and see how this all builds on itself. The ambition to strive. This is that powerful internal drive that gives all that urgency its direction. It's the engine of competition for sure, but it's way more complex than just wanting to win. This question right here is at the absolute heart of the strive to win idea. Because the reason someone wants to win, that changes everything. It changes how they compete, what they're willing to sacrifice, and what that victory even means in the end. I mean, take the Manassas Tigers, a high school football team from inner-city Memphis from the documentary Undefeated. For those kids, striving to win their first playoff game in the school's entire history wasn't about a trophy, no way. It was this powerful metaphor for overcoming the daily grind of poverty and violence. For them, winning was about learning how to stand back up after getting hit in the mouth, both on the field and off of it. Now, let's contrast that with a totally different motivation. Philosophers sometimes talk about the sublime, this quality of greatness that isn't just about being technically perfect. It's something more. It's the difference between a diver who's just really skilled and someone like Greg Louganis. This is about chasing a transcendent ideal, about bringing greatness itself into the world, not just about beating the other guy. And for other people, that drive is rooted in something even deeper, something spiritual. This passage from Hebrews frames our whole life as an endurance race. In this context, the strive to win isn't about one competition. It's about a lifelong commitment to a higher purpose. The victory here is about finishing that race with integrity and faith. So we've seen how these two incredibly powerful forces, urgency and ambition, drive performance. But what happens when that ambition, whether it's for survival or for something sublime, what happens when it combines with urgency, but it's missing a strong ethical compass? Well, things can go sideways, fast. Let's look at how to build a more sustainable path to success. The win-at-all-costs mindset. We all know the stories, like the Lance Armstrong narrative or the doping scandal from the documentary Icarus. That shows us the dark side. It's a path that can lead straight to ethical collapse.
The alternative is a sustainable mindset, one that focuses on long-term growth and integrity. You see this in models like Athletes First in youth sports, or even in Stoic philosophy. So building a better framework is absolutely crucial, and this means prioritizing the well-being and the life lessons of young athletes over just the win-loss record. It means focusing on the power of day-in, day-out consistency, not just the flashy highlight moments. And so importantly, it means providing real mental health support to manage the immense pressure that comes with this high-performance mindset.
This Stoic idea it perfectly sums up the whole goal. True victory isn't just about being the first one to cross the finish line. It's about competing in a way that lets you keep your self-respect and your integrity. It's about winning the right way.
So, when you put it all together, we arrive at this unified theory we can call intentional performance. The whole every second counts mindset. That gives us the intensity, right? The fire to act now. But the strive to win ethos, that gives the fire a direction, a purpose. And when you balance those two correctly, they are absolutely unstoppable.
And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. As you're running your own race, in your career, your relationships, your personal goals, just take a moment to think about this architecture of performance. Are you making every second count? And maybe even more importantly, are you striving to win what truly matters?